Welcome to A Guide to Every Deck in Legacy. Today we're looking at Cephalid Breakfast. Cephalid Breakfast is a combo deck revolving around milling your entire deck with Cephalid Illusionist and reanimating Thassa's Oracle. Cephalid Illusionist is a 2-mana creature with the following ability. Whenever it becomes the target of a spell or ability, put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. So, if you have another permanent with an ability that costs 0 mana to activate and that targets Illusionist, you can target it over and over to mill your entire deck. The best 2 options are Nomad's Encore and Shuko. Nomad's Encore is a 1-mana creature with the ability 0 mana, the next 1 damage that would be dealt to Nomad's Encore this turn is dealt to target creature you control instead. And Shuko is a 1-mana equipment that equips for 0. So, if you control Cephalid Illusionist and either Nomad's Encore or Shuko, you can target Illusionist repeatedly to mill your deck. And yes, you can still target Illusionist with Shuko even if it's already attached to it. This will cause the 3 Narcomoebas in the deck to trigger from being milled over and return to the battlefield, at which point you can sacrifice them to flashback Dread Return, reanimating Thassa's Oracle to win the game. Because Illusionist, Nomads, and Shuko are so cheap, you can easily curve either of the 1-drops into Illusionist and win as early as turn 2. The rest of the deck looks very much like a typical blue Legacy combo deck. Cantrips Brainstorm and Ponder to find combo pieces, and Urza's Saga to tutor for Shuko. And Daze, Force of Will, and 3 Fairy to protect the combo or disrupt the opponent. Aside from those cards, there is some variability in the remaining card choices. Baleful Strix can be a good blocker that replaces itself. Stoneforge Mystic may be played since it tutors for Shuko and also enables a secondary mid-range plan with Kaldra. Similarly, Living Wish can be a way to either get combo creatures from the sideboard or big beaters like Uro. Recruiter of the Guard is a way to tutor for the combo creatures, although it can't find Thoracle. Aether Vial can slip combo creatures past counterspells and make interacting with the combo harder. Similarly, Cavern of Souls will get creatures past counterspells. Keep in mind that both Illusionist and Thoracle are wizards, Nomads and Stoneforge are core, and Nomads and Recruiter are soldiers. And lastly, sometimes Step Through is played as a way to tutor for Cephalid Illusionist or Thoracle. How to beat it. Cephalid Breakfast is a glass cannon combo deck that can be disrupted by removing Illusionist, Nomads, or Shuko. The timing for when you need to cast removal varies depending on which cards you're dealing with and the order they come down. You can't let Illusionist and Nomads be on the field at the same time since, if you do and then you try to remove one of them, they can just keep activating Nomads in response. If one is on the field and they cast the other, you have to remove the first one before it resolves. The same isn't true for Shuko since equipping is a sorcery speed ability. If they're running Aether Vial, things get trickier since they now play at instant speed and can potentially vial in an extra combo piece in response to your removal. It's also important to play around Daze if possible. Otherwise, the combo is stopped by Graveyard Hate as well since it prevents Narcomoebas returning, flashing back Dread Return, or snipes Thoracle before it can come back. It can also get hit by anti-storm cards like Archon of Emeria since you'll often have played another spell the same turn you need to flash back Dread Return. Lastly, if you have multiple removal spells, you can potentially snipe enough creatures before they can flash back Dread Return. Basically, the Narcomoeba triggers resolve one at a time, and the Breakfast player doesn't get priority to cast Dread Return until they all finish, so you can use removal on their creatures to reduce them to less than 3. If they've milled their whole deck, then at the very least they have Illusionist in play and may also have Nomads, so you'll need between 2 and 3 removal spells, although if you have removal, I don't know why you wouldn't have just killed Illusionist before they milled everything. Tips and tricks. If you happen to draw cards that you need to mill over for the combo, such as Narcomoeba, Dread Return, or Thoracle, you can put them back in your deck with Brainstorm or bin them by casting Cabal Therapy on yourself. If you mill your whole deck and are worried about disruption, you can flashback Cabal Therapy to get past any before getting Thoracle. At the very least, you control Illusionist, so between it and the 3 Narcomoebas, you'll still have enough fodder for Dread Return. If your opponent has Graveyard Hate, you can still win by just casting Thoracle from your hand. Alongside cantrips to find it, Step Through can tutor for it. If you have Aether Vial and Nomads or Illusionist in play and you haven't drawn the other one, you can bluff activate Vial to check for removal. Essentially, when you activate Vial, if their only disruption is removal spells, then they have to cast them in response to Vial since if you did have the combo, they'd lose. So either they do have it and are forced to spend mana to cast it before they want to, or they don't have it and now you know the coast is clear. Technically, Cephalid Illusionist and Nomad's Encore have damage prevention abilities and Shuko grants +1 power, although using any of these cards for reasons other than comboing is not their intended use. However, sometimes they are useful. For example, Nomads can redirect burn spells away from itself. I hope you've enjoyed this look at Cephalid Breakfast. Thank you to my supporters, and if you enjoy these videos, consider supporting the channel. Take care.